What's going on, everybody? We're back with another episode of Keeping It Real with Najee Wilkins. I'm bringing on head coach for Milton Eagles, Ben Reaves. We're going to get a little bit into sports, his very talented roster, his team as a whole, find out what they've been doing this offseason, what's left for this offseason before they get into obviously training camp and getting ready for the season. So, very good roster. We'll find out very soon. So, let's go ahead and bring him into it.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, coach. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Of course, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
You got it.
So a little bit about this offseason. How has it been for you? What are you most kind of looking forward to, and what's left far as just camps and different things like that in tournaments?
Yeah, so it's been a really good 2 weeks so far. The kids seem focused. Everybody's, heading in the same direction right now, which is very important. And it's our job as coaches just to keep them there. But the work is there, the effort's there. And, like I've talked about previously, with you and some other people, we had a young roster last year in some key spots, and they got a taste of success. And so that's really the driving factor behind this team right now is they've tasted it. They like the taste of what they got a sip of. And, just what can we do to get to that next level? So that's really what we're working towards right now. We're not a big 7-on-7 team. I was looking back at some old calendars and practice scripts, and you only have so many days in the summer, and there'd be some summers where we would spend the first, 2 and 3 weeks of June just working on 7-on-7 stuff for an hour a day to go play in these tournaments. And I just don't see how it relates to our ultimate goal of winning a state championship in 11-on-11 football. But we will do one or two. We'll have a couple teams here. We've hosted a couple teams just in a practice session format. Nothing competitive. Just get better with each other. Next Wednesday, we'll be going to UGA. So we will be competing next Wednesday at UGA and the 7-on-7 that they're hosting. And then in terms of padded camps that we have coming up, we're hosting one at the end of summer on the 29th of June. It's got to be one of the bigger ones in the state. You got Milton, obviously, as the host, but, 6A state champ, Langston Hughes, 5A state champ, Warner Robbins. You got Walton,
Wow.
Harrison coming, Hiram coming. So there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters at that camp. And once again, we just want to get some good work in against some quality opponents and then head into that dead week and get some what's going to be much needed rest and recovery and come back in July and ramp things up a little bit just with our strength, our conditioning. We'll be going to a camp at North Gwinnett on the middle of July, where I know there's going to be a lot of quality teams there as well. So we got a lot coming up, a lot of good work, a lot of good things to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like you guys gonna be going up some pretty good competition as well at some of those camps and padded practices. So definitely, excuse me, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But let's start with your secondary first, right? I usually go for offense, but I want to start defensively first for you. So I mean, you lose this past offseason, you lost Robert Billings, and then you lose Bryce Thornton, who's going to Florida. Those is going to is at Clemson, but you replace them with equally as good talent with Shamar Arnaud, who's committed to Tennessee, and then Dylan Williams as well, who are highly rated players. Just how excited are you to see them this upcoming season and roaming that secondary for you?
Yeah, our secondary, it's one of the better ones that I've been around in my career for sure. You brought up Dylan Lewis, who was a starter for us last year, a ton of talent, a ton of offers, and Shamar, we call him Duty, a Tennessee commit. Ty Redmond is in that secondary. He's got a bunch of SEC, ACC offers going on. Makai Jones, he's a four-star safety. He's got a bunch of Big Ten offers, and Faisal Sequoia and, Toby Adewayan, and just guys that are coming back last year that got some really, really good experience, added a Tristan Lester in the mix. So there's some guys back there that can cover, can run, can hit. So I'm excited about that group this season.
Got you, coach. And then I want to talk about some freshmen that you have that are rising freshmen that are really good. I mean, you got one of the top players possibly in the country in Christian Pancake Hunter. He's coming in. You got DJ Ruff as well, who's also a good freshman. So, do you just foresee any roles for them on the varsity team, possibly as Obviously, you got a great defensive line, but did you see them, possibly rotating in a little bit? What kind of roles do you foresee for them this upcoming season?
Yeah, like I told them and told their parents, we'll see. I really want to get through spring and summer and do a full evaluation on them. Those guys were obviously superstars at the feeder level and superstars in their grade, but it's a different level of football in 7A, and it's tough for a freshman to step in and really compete, not just physically, but also mentally with the teams and guys that we're going up against. And, but it is a talented group. And those guys that you mentioned are going to be superstars, and they're talented enough for us to give a look at them. So they are up practicing with us right now. They're in the mix, trying to earn a spot somewhere, somehow. So we're going to give it through the end of the summer and just keep letting them grind. Just let them see, do you fit in on the field of a 7-8 team, or do you need a little bit more time to develop? I know we live in a society to where everybody wants to play varsity and wear number one their freshman year, but that's just not reality here in high school. There's a lot of guys here that have put in a lot of time and effort and developed and are talented players. And sometimes, no matter how good you're going to be, you just got to keep working and developing and wait your time as well. But we'll see where they shake out, but they've definitely been doing a great job so far. We also got Grant Haviland, practicing with us, and Jordan Carasquillo practicing up with us, Blaze Battaglia. So there's some young cats that are in the mix, and we'll see where it shakes out come August.
Gotcha, coach. And then kind of another question. This is going to the offense, but I remember first week of spring, I believe it was, you guys were getting into like kind of spring practice and things like that. You're talking about the position. Hasn't been solidified yet. Your running back position, TJ Lester and then Shamar Vick. Obviously, we're a little bit deeper in the summer now. Is that still a position that's going to kind of be, solidified in August, or you kind of know, where you're going to go? Or do you foresee a room for both of them potentially having playing time?
Yeah, I was about to say, that's somewhat of a tricky question, because it may not be solidified by just one guy. They're a thunder and lightning duo, so to speak. And just with our offense being so versatile, there's definitely room for both. Definitely room for both of their skill sets. There's room to have them both on the field at the same time. And at the running back position, that's one of those that you only have so many hits in you. That position, the career lifespan is very short. So it's one that it's not a bad thing to necessarily, split time and not take a pounding play after play after play when you're talking about the longevity of your career. So I definitely foresee both of them having a major role. It may get to a point to where, they're both called starters and we don't have a feature back, but both of them will have plenty of action, and there's enough for both of them to eat and get out there and show what they can do no matter which way it goes.
Gotcha. And then I'm pretty sure you know this, coach, but obviously Shamar, he's the cousin of Michael Vick. I know you get to see him practice every day. You get to see him kind of work out and things like that. Do you see some of that kind of dynamic ability that, we used to see in Michael Vick back in the day and in kind of his heyday in
Absolutely.
him?
When you see him run, there's a burst that sticks out immediately. Some of the cuts I've seen him make already are very Michael Vickish, if you will. You just look back and you go, wow. So just a tremendous athlete. But I think the difference between him and Mike, and I didn't know Mike, I didn't see him play, but there's really not a position on the field that we can't put Shamar. He's working some running back. I know he's had a history of some back. He's working some slot with us. He's working some corner with us. And, everywhere that we put him, he seems to excel just because his athletic ability is so high. So there's definitely some similarities. You can tell that, that's definitely the bloodline for sure.
Yes, sir. And then, you added another, really great talent offensively to add to your group, CJ Wiley, right? What do you think he'll be able to add to this offense this upcoming season? And, what have you kind of been impressed about with him being a Milton Eagle? I know you ran some track as well, but what have you been impressed about?
Puts into extra time. And he's one that, a lot of times when you get guys at a young age that grow so tall, it takes them a little while to really work into their body and, become a complete athlete. But CJ is becoming that, and he's going to be a heck of a deep threat, heck of a target for Luke to throw to. He's all of 6'4", if not taller. And what's most impressive about CJ is just his catch radius.
Mm.
extends those long arms, man, and he plucks it out of the air. And it's tough. It's tough for Luke to throw a ball that's uncatchable to CJ just because he's so long, his arms are so long, but he's also so good at catching the ball outside the framework of his body, which, in my opinion, is what makes a tall receiver elite. You know, a lot of guys that are tall, they can run fast, they can run good routes, they can catch the ball when it's right at them, but who can go get it when it's in the air? Who can make the quarterback right when he's off left or right? And CJ's able to do that, and I really think he's going to blow up this year and just have a monster season for us.
For sure, coach. And then, I mean, just for you personally, right? You used to be a coordinator. Just how excited are you just to see this offense in action this season? I mean, you got so many weapons, right? I go on and on, like DeBron Gatlin, you got Mark Esley, you got CJ, you got Ryan G, you got Luke Nickel, you got your really good running backs in TJ Lesson, Shamar Vick. Just, it really has the opportunities you mentioned just to be special. Just how excited are you to watch it this upcoming season?
Yeah, I joke all the time about this with our offensive coordinator, Coach Jackson. Everybody has problems, and there's good problems and there's bad problems. And what you just mentioned is definitely a good problem to have. But the reason why I call it a problem is because those are a lot of mouths to feed. There's only one football,
Yep.
and those are a lot of mouths to feed.
Yep.
And every one of those guys that you mentioned is hungry. So our staff they're going to do a good job of making sure that they disperse the ball, let everybody have chances to show what they can do, which will just make it harder to play against us. It'll make us less predictable and make our tendencies that much more less. But it's definitely something that offensive room is going to have to figure out, because there's a bunch of ballers on the offensive side of the ball, and they're all hungry and they all can do really, really good things with the ball. But the good thing as well is when you look at those guys, there is some uniqueness to all of them. So there is some scheme matching that we can do to really highlight their strengths. And whereas running a simple bubble screen may be a strength for one that's not a strength for another. So we just make sure that we call it to that one guy, and just personnel it, play call that way. Everybody will get fed and end up having a good year. But ultimately, the best thing about those guys is they really don't care, man. They want to have a chance to win a state championship. And if this guy touches the ball, that guy touches the ball, that's great. We're happy for them. We celebrate each other as a team. All that matters is we get a chance to go play for that game 15 and see if we're good enough to win it.
Coach, you actually led me into my next question. I was just about to ask you that. How do you just keep that all grounded with so many mouths to feed? But you pretty much answered it. And I think, like you said, a lot of times you'll just see it's all about me, me, me. But if you got guys that are talented and they're buying into that, playing that game 15 for a chance to win the state title, which I definitely think Milton has a chance to do. I mean, if they're all, locked and loaded on the primary goal, I mean, you'll be fine. But we're going to keep it going. Let's go to the linebacking core. Not talked about a lot, but I think it has a along with your secondary and your D line. I mean, it's not talked about enough, but your linebacking core could be very special as well, right? You got Corey Stewart, 3-star, just committed to Kansas. He's coming back. Jack Lawson, who we talked about last time, converted from safety to linebacker. Just how excited you are to watch that kind of unit this season.
Yeah, I mean, just having those guys back is so huge. And the two guys that you mentioned, man, they're such a force out there, and they both were new at their positions last year. So all the success and all the offers that they got from last year's tape was just after 1 year of work. So I'm excited that they have a year under their belt, and then now a whole off season again of getting better at that position. Those two guys, they're going to wreak some havoc. And then you got guys, around in different spots. That's the good thing is one guy's not necessarily only able to play one spot due to his physical capabilities. They're really all versatile. We can move them around and switch up, who's in the box, who's in coverage, who's coming off the edge, so on and so forth. So I'm excited about that group as well.
Definitely, coach. And then in position we haven't talked about yet, the offensive line. How is that looking this upcoming season? Do you have any returning starters? Any new guys that are going to be jumping into new roles? And just what do you expect from that position this year?
Are returning some guys at offensive line this year. We're returning Garrett Heineke, and we're also returning Riley Rushing, two really, really blue-collar kids. Just big bodies want to get after you, which is nice. And, with those 3 spots that are left, we got some guys that are equally as good that are competing for those. So that's why those camps are so important that we're going to go to this summer, just to see, who really wants to mix it up, who really wants to get after it. But, last year, in a sense, up front, we were from, not depth we've had here in the past, but we're back to where we got some big bodies, we got some good depth. If something were to happen or someone were to unfortunately go down, we got somebody that'll be, varsity ready to fill in. So it's definitely a much better feeling this year than last year. But and no disrespect to last year's O-line, because those guys were war daddies, right? You watch them take the field, and they didn't look like a typical Milton offensive line, and they would get after you. And that's attributed to their O-line coach, Coach Rob Williams. So I know whatever 5 he puts out there, going to be ready to go and ready to get after it.
Certainly. And then, Coach, for your returning starters, someone on the line, Luke, DeBron, Ja'Cory, Jack, that played and had a really good season, right? You guys won another region championship, made it all the way to the semifinals. Do you think that loss to Mill Creek, who eventually won it all, is, just helping fuel them this season for that ultimate goal of what you want to achieve?
For sure. It's and it wasn't even so much about losing the game. Mill Creek was obviously the dominant team in the state this year. They were a very veteran team. They were a very polished team. So that game didn't just show us what it was about. It's not the loss that we're trying to revenge. If anything, it showed us, what a championship team looks like, how a championship team carries themselves, how a championship team competes on the field. They got to see that aspect as well as just tasting playing in the semifinal round and tasting what it felt like to be so close. So, that loss is really multidimensional for us, and the lessons that it taught us. So, we're definitely thinking about all those aspects moving forward, not just, actually losing the game.
Gotcha, Coach. And then, you guys have a pretty tough schedule to kind of start out. Before we get to the kind of the game, the opening game, you guys are going to play, a really good team from what's it called, Western from Davie, Florida.
Yep.
And a bunch of good teams are going to be competing there, right? So, how did that kind of come out to be? How were you able to schedule that kind of matchup? And then how excited to see some of the best teams in the country?
Yeah, and that's just how that we try to do it here, like we've talked about. We're not afraid to throw ourselves out there. We'll throw ourselves out there. We'll compete. We talk about competitive toughness here at Milton. That's one of our pillars, and that simply means that I'm going to attack a situation the same, whether my opponent is easy or opponent is very tough. And that's how we always attack the beginning of the season. It starts with the scrimmage game. Gainesville coming here for all scrimmage, and then roll into Collins Hill game 1. And then we go down to Broward County for Broward versus the USA. Just tons of talent. Thankfully, this program, just based on the players that have been here prior, has elevated this program.
Yeah, you're kind of cutting out, Coach.
All right, can you hear me now? Yeah. So like I said, we'll go play anybody anywhere, and that's how the beginning of our season is always set up. And then whenever we come back from Miami, there's no time to rest. We go right into 2 rivalry games in Roswell and Alpharetta. Really 3 rivalry games, because add North Cobb in there. That's been a heated game, and a team that we haven't been able to beat, since I've been here. So just a lot of motivation early on, but our team understands that's what we're going to do. And that's why we got to have a great summer. That's what we're working towards, because whenever we go into region, all that matters is trying to get that number 1 seed in the playoffs. The non-region games, of course, from a competitor standpoint, you want to win because competitors want to win. But from a how good does my record look standpoint, it really doesn't matter until you get into region and fight for that number 1 seed. So I tell the kids, let me worry about the record. Let me worry about the noise, in the tabloids, in the community. Y'all just worry about playing, getting better. And let's expose ourselves. Let's see where we're weak, So we know before we get to a win or go home situation, we know what we need to improve on. So that's the way we'll set it up every year.
Definitely, coach. And then, I was talking about, you being as a coach, right? It's kind of this constant evaluation process. So, what were some things you just kind of took away from like last year that you're just trying to work on? You're just trying to pinpoint and harness in on just to kind of be your best self for your kids this upcoming year, and just kind of coach some of your best ball.
Yeah, sometimes whenever you take a new job, you don't know what you don't know. So last year I learned so many things that I didn't even know what would happen, would pop up. Every day is definitely different. Every day can't be planned for, but just like we ask our kids to do on the field, you gotta react. You gotta react to the best of your abilities. You got to go full speed, and whether it's good or bad, you got to get ready to play the next play. And that's kind of how I attack this coaching day in and day out. And if anything, just the experience that I gained from last year, obviously in this role, and I'm able to focus on some more just, football type things. I got two great coordinators that handle both of those. The biggest thing about my game that will change this season, and hopefully I'll continue to improve on everything that I learned last season as well.
Yes, sir. And a couple more questions, Coach. I'll let you go. One, real quick, we talked a little bit about some of the matches this season, but just what stands out to you about Collins Hill Freedom Bowl matchup? That's going to be the opening game of the season. They have a really good defensive line. I think they're averaging about 6'3", 250 plus. Some great guys on that D line with Deuce Geralds and obviously Contrell Webb. But just your quick thoughts on that, and just that Collins Hill matchup.
Somewhat of a personal matchup for me, and not necessarily but before I came to Milton, I actually coached at Collins Hill for 6 years. So I was there. Obviously I don't know any of the kids that are still playing now, but I do still know a lot of the coaches. And, Coach Swick has taken over that program. He and I have a great relationship, and we coached together when I was at Collins Hill. And Coach Fountain this over there, I know he's going to be talking trash to me from the other sidelines. And, Coach Kerner, who I've known since high school. So there's a relationship there that I'm looking forward to, just against. And then you just look at the history of Collins Hill and Milton. My first year as the offensive coordinator of Milton in 2017, ironically, we matched up against Collins Hill in the first round of the playoffs. So here I am at Milton, spent 6 years at Collins Hill. Now we're hosting Collins Hill in the first round of the playoffs. And we ended up winning that game. And then fast forward to 2021, they get another shot at us in the state title game. And it was kind of a collision course that year. I think both of us knew that we were destined players. So between me and those coaches in that program, the score's kind of 1-1 right now. So it'll be a fun grudge match. It'll be a fun way to open up the year. A lot of respect, not only for the coaches, but just for the program. I mean, there's a winning culture there that has been set, and just some tremendous athletes on both sides of the ball that we do know about. So it'll be a very tough opening game, but like I referenced, that's how we want to set it up. That's how we want to schedule it.
Yes, sir. And then last question, obviously, I know it probably doesn't matter as much, but you guys are on a region streak. I know you said getting that one seed is what's most important. And then obviously following it up with a state title. But just looking at your region, obviously I know it's about Empire and it's about Milton, but just anything that stands out as far as the region teams, how do you guys go and kind of capture another region title and secure that one seed for this year?
Yeah, there's it's no secret. There's no love lost between Milton and Forsyth County. So if they can beat us and make a statement by beating Milton, they're going to do that. They're going to enjoy that, and we understand that, and we recognize that. We respect that. We do, because we know that those teams are going to show up well coached. We know that they're going to play hard. We know that they're going to give us everything that they got, and because we are Milton, we're going to get their very best shot, because everybody wants a piece of what we got. So there's not a single game in our region that we can show up to and just overlook or coast through. Every game in that region is going to make it's going to take everything that we got. But I like that. We like that because it continues to sharpen our sword. You know what I mean? There's just no off weeks in our schedule. Continue to sharpen the sword and hopefully be the best we can be week 11. And hopefully we're lucky enough and are fortunate or earned the right to be the number one seed this season. But, just because we have a region win streak, nothing's guaranteed. We still got to go out there and work for it. Still got to go out there and prove it. Still got to go out there and earn it.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, honestly, thanks so much for taking the time. Always a pleasure talking to you. Good luck this season. Definitely going to be in touch and try to get you, a couple games as the season goes into, and learn about just kind of where you guys are. I mean, I'm excited to watch you guys play. Really talented roster. It looks like it's going to be a good year for you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know your family around here, so anytime you want to roll through, we got you. But thank you for having me on and let me talk a little bit about Milton football.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Be in